And we are back. Buenas tardes, good afternoon. And we continue with the EU Industry Days 2023, with industry, fortunately, on the top of the EU agenda, and also with leading, as you will see, industry leaders sharing their views on the opportunities and challenges of the green transition, how to lead this race of the net zero that we're going to hear about now, and ensuring that the EU is the best place, the place to be for green and digital businesses. On this occasion and the next session, we have the opportunity, and actually I would say the luxury, of listening to industrial leaders who are already facing this environmental and digital transformation and who are leading the race for net zero. We are also honored to have a top moderator, so we would, for the EU industry, so please join me on stage, Cecilia Bonefeld-Dahl, Rafael Sueiro, and Oscar Garcia. Welcome to all of you. Secretary of State, you have the floor.
We have to sit, no? Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this conference, to this Industry Days, and to this roundtable. We have with us experts from enterprise, from the institutions, and we are going to talk about industrial policies and the new challenge in the European Union. As you know, the industrial policy in the European Union so far has been focused on issues such as how to accelerate the green and digital transition, how to support SMEs, startups, and how to strengthen the single market, of course. One of our greatest assets in the European Union is our single market. But now, from a few years, I think we have to tackle, to face some new challenges that they were not there before. Since COVID, we have seen how we have to face the problem of the disruption of the supply chain. You all will remember what happens with chips, what happens now with food and energy because of the war in Ukraine. We also have to face other challenges like geopolitical tensions. We have to face other questions like subsidies from third countries, like the IRA from the United States, but also subsidies and state aids from China and other countries that are new risk and new challenge for the industrial policy. Of course, it implies that we have to review our industrial policy, and I think institutions, European Commission and Member States, we are already updating our policies. We can talk of the update that we made last May, May on 21st, of our industrial policy, but also of other more recent initiatives like the Net Zero Industry Act, the Critical Raw Material Act, I mean, the change in TCTF, the change in General Block Exemption Regulation, many other challenges that means an updating of our industrial policy to this change. But companies also face new challenges. You face, of course, challenge of green transition, digital transition, but also challenge related with these new geopolitical tensions, the disruption, supply chain, changing globalization. So for talk about all these questions, we have with us first, Oscar Garcia Maceiras is Chief Executive Officer of Inditex. He's a state attorney, a position he held until 2005. Then he starts a career in banking towards Banco Pastor, Banco Popular, Sareb, and finally Banco Santander. In 2021, he joined Inditex as General and Secretary of the Board until his appointment as a CEO. Welcome, Oscar.
Thank you.
It's also with us Rafael Sueiro, Chief Financial Officer of Radisson Hotel Group. Rafael has more than 25 years of experience in finance and business intelligence activities across, I think, I would say, all the world, and with facing several challenges along your career. And it's also with us, welcome, Rafael. And it's also with us, Cecilia, I'm not sure if I'm able to pronounce it properly, Bonfeldal.
Perfect.
Okay, Director General of Digital Europe. She's member of the European Commission's Industrial Forum and also member of the Stakeholder Cybersecurity Certification Group. So, let's start, Cecilia, I think we could start with you with our first question. Why do you think digitalization is so central to our business, economy, and environment? How Digital Europe can support the EU to meet the Green Deal?
Well, I think without technology, it won't be possible. I mean, if we look at the biggest accelerator of efficiency of energy, it is artificial intelligence, IoT, and many other digital tools. Let me just mention, for example, on buildings, I mean, 40% of CO2 emissions comes, and energy usage comes from buildings. Technologies like digital twins and other can actually bring that down to half. We have a lot of usage of materials. We can track across supply chains. So the whole, how we actually get to the efficiency of our energy usage is depending on digital. If we look at energy grids, the only way of basically optimizing the energy usage in the grid will be with technologies. And then I heard just on the previous panel that the DPP, the Digital Product Passport, which is the standard that will define what is the data that defines a product's usage of energy, of emission of CO2 and their footprint, their environmental footprint, is something that we are developing now. And as soon as you have that standard, then you can start measuring exactly, how much are you using, how much can you bring it down. So for the digital transformation, I would say it doesn't really exist without AI, without IoT, without optimization of the energy grid and many other things.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, all the sectors has different challenges. Rafael, I think your sector is one of the ones that face more difficulties. What are the key challenges of Radisson Hotel Group, or we would say tourism and travel industry, is facing in moving to net zero?
Well, I think we are overall kind of starting with the strategy. We are completely committed with the net zero, reaching net zero in 2050. We have basically leveraged in 3 pillars. One of them is green operations, basically putting the basics and making sure that everyone is done properly. The second one is green energy, all related to renewable energy, and the third one is buildings. There is something else that we are now starting to see, which is actually the green travel. We see that the people is willing to travel green, which is something that is we are testing and we are trying to prove, because this may even generate an upsell and an incremental revenue, which is something that is, I think, very valid in order to validate all the return investments and everything that we need to do for this new energy. In terms of the challenges, I would say that the main challenge that we have is the global awareness. We need to make sure that, let's say, all stakeholders and all participants are supporting and working together with us in order to get these compromises. We do work with owners, as you know, because of our business model. We also have the vendors, we have the customers, and put it all then together, for me, is probably the biggest challenge that we have. The second one, I would say, and the second biggest one would be the investments. As you know, Europe mainly is a quite already built continent, so everything is already done. There is very few new buildings, so at the end it's more in terms of conversions. So we want to go green, we need to invest the money, and actually this is something that we need to prove going, let's say, on the financial side, not only on the energy, because we need to make sure that everyone, gets the return of what they are looking for.
Okay, thank you. Maybe in this point we should thank the people that is following this conference online, no? That did not take the plane to come here as maybe others did. But however, Oscar, the European Commission has recently presented the European textile strategy. What is Inditex's vision of the company's future evolution in this context?
Good afternoon, buenas tardes. Well, in terms of the textile manufacturing and retailing sector in Europe, I would like to share with you all probably three main features that are important in order to understand the sector. First, it's that this is a very important sector in terms of the total annual revenues of the sector in Europe represents more than 550 billion euros per year. That's over 3% of the European Union GDP. This is a sector that provides more than 5 million of direct jobs. Second characteristic is that it's highly fragmented. Almost 99% of the companies working in this sector are companies with less than 249 employees, and almost 80% of the companies have less than 9 employees. And third, that this is a sector in which the European companies are global leaders. 40% of the global leaders in terms of the apparel, textile sector are from Europe, and the sales for the fashion in Europe represents more than the 25% of the total sales in the world. So, of course, this is an important sector for the Union, and the textile industry is crucial for the sector. The approach for Inditex, we are focused in a very robust, but at the same time, flexible model that has basically 4 main engines that are directly connected with that strategy. The first one is that we are a fashion company, so we are putting a lot of efforts in terms of creativity, design, innovation, quality. The second engine for our business model is the customer experience. We are trying to appeal the emotion from our customers, providing them additional reasons to visit our stores and to visit our online platforms. Again, innovation is crucial for us. We have a fully integrated model in which it's not possible to understand the strength of the sales in our physical store without taking in consideration the support coming from our presence on the online platforms. And at the same time, the physical stores provides a crucial operational support to our online operations. Just two figures. 1/3 of the total online sales in the world are being collected in our physical stores. 2/3 of the online returns are being dropped off in our physical stores. Third main engine is connected with sustainability. Sustainability is not adjective for Inditex. It's a key part of our strategy, of our business model, and probably later we could have the opportunity to explain further what's our current page, our current status about sustainability. And fourth, that is also connected with the textile strategy and all of the discussions that are taking place these days in this EU Industry Days, is connected with people. We have more than 160,000 employees, more than 183 different nationalities, and our ambition is to keep on being a benchmark employer, an employer of reference in every single market in which we operate. And this is connected, of course, with remuneration, with professional careers, with training programs, and we are continually trying to improve those 4 pillars, those 4 engines of our business model, directly connected with this textile strategy from the European Union.
Okay, thank you very much. You have a quite comprehensive strategy that I can see. Cecilia, the European Council highlighted in the past how Russia's war on Ukraine impacted energy prices and undermined the security of energy supply. How can digital help boosting energy efficiency?
I mean, as I said before, I mean, the energy grid speaks for itself. I mean, can be optimized, you know, the capacity can be brought to the double. But of course, it's also about security. How can we basically secure supply when there is, if you have a sustainable energy like wind, when we don't have wind, when can we actually generate other sources of energy? But I also think it became very clear that it's not only about how we generate and how we secure it, also about how we save it. Of course, if you spend a lot of energy, then you need to produce a lot of energy, but if you can actually start to store it in different way or apply artificial intelligence to make sure that you just in time need of energy and not waste it on its way to where you need it, this will be absolutely crucial. Of course, I mean, we found out that even big parts of Europe was very dependent on Russian energy, and that it is a vulnerability factor. Cybersecurity, some of the things that we've done on cybersecurity is to define the critical infrastructure and the critical sectors, such as wind, such as, of course, energy supply, solar panels, etc. I think we are only halfway there. We still have a long way to go in how we actually secure our critical supply of energy, but also how we can make a sustainable price level going forward. I think actually Spain has done an excellent job there. They invested in solar panels and renewable energy way before and has spent even more energy investing in that also in the last 4 years. So and doing that, of course, you need to have the innovation of green tech, the technologies behind distribution, and not least storage and optimization of the usage. So looking at the supply, it's highly digital, it's highly dependent on AI and IoT, which we need to be leaders in, and we need to be, the other part of it is the security of it. There we have the NIS2 directive, we have the CRA coming out now, where we need to be super careful that we are not sharing things too early for our enemies not to get their hands on our vulnerabilities on cybersecurity, amongst others in critical infrastructures.
So definitely you three think that there are synergies between green objectives and digitalization. Do you think one objective could help us to
I don't think there is a green transition without digital. And we also just spoke here before. I mean, if you look at the retail sector, the way that you can create transparency of your supply chain, where do you lose your raw materials, where do you lose your energy, where do you lose your products, how can you optimize your energy, both consumption or your use of raw material all the way back upstream and downstream, highly depends on digital solutions. And I would say all the solutions are invented. Now it's just a question, what are the standards that we are using so we can use those standards across the supply chain? And of course, of a change management, and the companies are going through this now, really on how they can optimize both their supply chain of materials and of energy consumption.
Yeah, do you want any one of you to want to say something more related with this? Okay.
No, I mean, I fully agree. At the end, digitalization will help. It's a great opportunity, and actually, one of the things that we need to do when trying to achieve net zero is to measure. So I think it's a basic that you need to be able to leverage on digitalization in order to properly measure so we can demonstrate what we're doing.
Rafael, and in your group, in Radisson Hotel Group, how are you doing to unlock the digital growth potential and deploy innovative solutions?
In our case, we have a very strong approach to deliver our long-term plan that basically drives the strategy of the company. Okay, this long-term plan, basically, our vision is to what we say is whenever a guest wants to stay, whenever an owner wants to invest, whenever an employee wants to work in the hospitality industry, they should think of Radisson Hotel Group. And in order to do that, what we did was to build the plan based on 7 pillars, which are many of them. I don't think it's worth to repeat them, but it's cost, revenue, and all of that. And all those pillars are linked with specific initiatives that are supported by digitalization. So for us, it's basically one enabler to achieve our plan and to achieve our goal and to achieve our vision. So this is very, very clear. I think it's in the heart of the company. Everyone is always willing to innovate because I think we need to accelerate and we need to innovate more. And innovation is not reinventing the wheel. Sometimes it's basically trying to do things better. And digitalization should definitely help us in order to achieve our goal in the short, mid, and long term.
Okay, thank you. Oscar, you previously mentioned sustainability as a key pillar for Inditex. What objectives does Inditex have in this area? When do you plan to reach net zero? Maybe it's a little bit early to do this question, but maybe you have any schedule?
Well, first idea, sustainability is for us not something adjective or something new. We were the first company from Spain as signatory of the Global Compact of the United Nations more than 20 years ago. So we have been working very hard during these last 2 decades in order to adapt ourselves and in order to be in the current position in which every single decision, every single process of the company bears in mind the impact in terms of sustainability. We have been announcing the different goals and we are in good track in terms of viscose, linen, cotton, single-use plastics, renewable energy, etc., etc. And during our latest annual general shareholders meeting in mid-July, we announced new public goals, new public commitments that reveals, from our point of view, an important increase in the level of the ambition of the company in terms of sustainability. And to cover some of those new goals, one important new commitment is that by 2030, the 100% of the raw materials will be more sustainable, or defined as preferred by textile strategy. And this implies, and this is connected with this link among the digitalization and the digital transition and the green transition, this is really connected with innovation, because out of that 100%, 25% of those fibers will be fibers of next generation, fibers that are not available currently in the market at an industrial scale. That's why we are developing through our Sustainable Innovation Hub a lot of initiatives in contact with partnering with different companies, with universities, with startups, in order to identify specific projects in order to reach that goal, that 25% of the fibers used by Inditex by 2030 should be next-gen fibers. Second important objective, second important goal is that our commitment to reduce more than 50% of our total emissions, and total emissions includes not only our own emissions, but also for the rest of the pieces of our supply chain by 2030, more than 50%. This is the right path from our point of view to reach our net zero goal by 2040. So this will imply some important projects in terms of helping the transformation of our supply chain, of our suppliers, in order to fulfill that goal. Third goal is connected with the improvement in the conditions for the people that are working with us through our supply chain. So we announced the launching of a new strategy workers at the center in order to provide additional support to people collaborating with us through our suppliers. Fourth objective is connected with circularity. Circularity is crucial for a sector like our sector. So we launched last year our circularity initiative. The name is Sarah Pre-Owned in the UK, that provides our customers in that market different initiatives, including recycling, donation, or reselling, in order to expand the life cycle of their Zara products. Our commitment was to expand that project, or that circularity project, to the rest of our core markets by 2025. And we started with France several weeks ago, and our idea is probably to be in a position to expand this project to the rest of the markets in the European Union before the year end. And finally, there are some additional initiatives connected with biodiversity. Our commitment is that by 2030 to collaborate for the regeneration and restoration of more than 5 million hectares in the world, that is connected again with helping to the positive transformation in the environment. So again, for us, sustainability is one of the 4 main pillars of our business model. Is embedded in every single decision, in every single process that we are taking every day in the company, and the strategy implies several public commitments, several public announcements that are helping to move the company through not only our own transformation, but also to help the transformation of the whole sector.
Thank you. Cecilia, so far we have been talking about well-known objectives. No? We have been talking about green transition, digital transition, but what about the new challenges, I mean, that you mentioned it before? What about geopolitical tension? What do you think about de-risking?
I think it's a clever move that maybe we should have thought about earlier, but it seems that there is nothing like a good crisis for start thinking about the obvious things, right? Of course, what happened, you can say, it goes back to, if we go back 20 years ago, right? By then, more or less, the whole economy went global. We all went global. We were looking for the lowest prices, the best skills, you know. We went into the markets, and then all of a sudden the political reality changed, and somehow we need to keep up with that. We had basically gone for too much specialization instead of looking at what we had. And I would say many of the raw materials and things that we have been missing in tech, I mean, we actually have them in Spain, we have them in Sweden. We have them, but we closed the mines because we didn't want to pollute, and therefore we ended up, getting them from elsewhere. So the question is now: is Europe also ready, basically, to diversify and to take some of these things back, collaborate with other partners, South America, other continents, but also to basically use some of the technologies that we have now to actually be able to use our own raw material, our own capacities within Europe, again, but polluting less. Because we actually have some of the best technologies in these areas already. So, and on tech, I would say there has been a de-risking strategy for a while. I mean, it's always the elephant in the room, China, US tensions, and Europe in the middle. It's always been the fact that there has been a rather very limited market share for European companies in China on tech. So this is not a new reality, I would say. For other sectors, it has been different. And of course, there are dependencies on critical raw materials, energy supply, critical infrastructure, which is digital infrastructure. If we look at Ukraine, 15% of their digital infrastructure was destroyed in the first 2 days, where we were quite active and have been all the way through in helping to restore the connectivity in Ukraine. So it has been a wake-up call that digital and the supply of critical supply of components and microchips and many other things is absolutely crucial for our security, but also in general for the whole society to function, whether it is medical devices or energy supply or tech infrastructure.
So maybe, I don't know, Oscar, Rafael, do you think it could be a new opportunity to relocalization? I mean, to bring back some of our industry and maybe to ensure to avoid some risk in our supply chain? I don't know if you have faced this problem or do you have this approach or other? Please.
Well, you know, this, of course, we are living an environment that is extremely changing. So for us, collaboration is crucial. And for us, at the same time, we have to run a company that is operating in almost 100 countries with physical stores and more than 200 markets through online platforms. So we should be flexible and we should be aware of what's going on, identifying additional opportunities. So I guess that this type of flexibility is crucial for the European companies in order to decide at any specific point in time what to decide. But for instance, in the case of the sourcing side of the business, specific pieces of our supply chain are present in more than 50 different countries. So this is a question of flexibility, of adaptability. For us, it's important that more than 50% of our total production is in proximity. So it's something that provides us, again, a lot of flexibility in order to take any single decision every day, adapting ourselves to new trends, to what's the customer needs. So the flexibility and the adaptability of companies, I guess that this is critical in this environment.
Thank you. Rafael, do you want to add something?
Yeah, in our case, it's probably mainly about people, you know, because more or less same as in Tex, we have presence in around 100 countries with hotels. Of course, the operation are there, but then we have some other services that are central. As you know, I always say that companies tend to work like a pendulum. You know, they either centralize everything or decentralize everything. It depends on the moment, the company, the industry, and so on. But overall, now we are centralizing, so we are on the mood of centralizing a little bit. So in that case, it's true that we may generate opportunities and to localize things in Europe that before were not there. In our case, we did something. We did work with a Big Four company in order to assess which city was the best in terms of capabilities, talent, work-life balance, and so on. And as we were discussing before, it was the awarded city was Madrid, and we basically started, I would say 3 years ago, and now we have close to 300 people, which is the center of excellence that is running IT, is running revenue management, which is, let's say, the top value activity in the company, because as you know, we are trying to optimize the revenue overall, and this is all centralized here with people from more than 30 nationalities. And again, going back with what Oscar was saying, you know, if you give flexibility to the companies, certainly there will be a lot of opportunities.
Okay, thank you. You want to add something?
Yeah, no, just one comment. I mean, strategic diversification, of course, has been like the nature of any growing company, global company. But I do think one of the wake-up calls is that digital has been, I mean, that plays a major role in any sector. So for these companies to supply, to have their service running with the right chips, or for the connectivity to run for schools and hospitals, or that there are, even for the solar panel, I actually believe that some of the last companies producing the liquids for the solar panels were in Germany, has just been sold to a Chinese company, meaning that there are areas right now where, I mean, depending on where the conflict is, which is always very hard to decide where is the next conflict. You know, we have had tense relationship even with our best friends, US, you know, in the last term. Now it's fantastic again. But I think there is right now, you see much more of this of like-minded collaboration in critical technologies, not in everything, But in where this can really hit the core of a society or of your industries, there must be some kind of diversification where we know that we can actually supply the basic function of a society. Just let me mention like one thing that we learned. Cloud solutions. There's a lot of discussion on European cloud and stuff. I will not comment on that, but I will comment on the fact that the Ukrainians, for example, were able to move their data out of Ukraine in a few days for hospitals, for the public administration, you know, exactly like the Estonians did, because they used cutting-edge technology solutions, and they had a very close collaboration with the private sector, the companies or the cloud solutions, and therefore even during this war, they have been really well functioned because they had a data strategy, they had a digital resilience strategy. And I think for companies and for nations, having a digital resilience strategy will be absolutely as crucial as having a sustainability strategy or a diversification strategy, because we have vulnerabilities in technologies that we haven't thought that we had before.
Okay, I don't know if we have time for a final thought. Maybe any one of you want to do a last reflection, something like that, Oscar? Or...
Well, coming back to your question in terms of challenge and opportunities in this twin transition, digital plus sustainable, I guess that one of the big challenges that all of us should think about how to overcome is the lack of harmonization of the legislation in different jurisdictions. So we are running our business in all of the countries of the Union, and sometimes we have to face with this lack of level playing field that I guess that it's advisable, not only in Europe, that our ambition is to have a level playing field from the global perspective. So from my point of view, this is a big challenge. Opportunities, a lot of opportunities. This is, I guess, an important, a very good opportunity to strengthen the capability of the European companies. And we consider that for that is key collaboration among all of the different stakeholders. Of course, I made reference previously to our Sustainability Innovation Hub, partnering with different companies, different animals, so to say, startups, big companies, universities. We have been partnering as well, for instance, with Industrial, that we last year we get the 50th anniversary of our global framework agreement with Industrial. Or this week, this Monday, we announced an agreement, a global agreement with the International Apparel Federation that represents more than 100,000 companies in 40 different countries, identifying 9 different fields in which we are going to work together in order to transform positively the manufacturing industry. So a lot of opportunities, but a strong need for full collaboration among the different stakeholders, different actors, in order to take this opportunity to strengthen the European industry.
Rafael?
Yeah, I agree. I think when I was studying actually the executive MBA, one of the things that they taught me was, you always need to, we should collaborate on the standards. And I fully agree, because at the end that facilitates everyone's life, if we're able to do that. And how to do that, I think companies like us that have, let's say, global presence and so on, should lead by example. So we need to make sure that we are ahead and we implement those plans and strategies, and everyone sees the benefits of doing this for all other companies that are the ones, that, mainly SMEs, that need help from the European Commission, need help from the local governments and from everyone, because they have a completely different fight that we do, and a completely different approach, and many of them are even looking for survival. So in some cases, it's quite challenging for them to think as much ahead as we do normally. In order to do that, for example, in Radisson, what we have done is to co-lead the Hotel Sustainability Basics, which is a platform that now have more than 50,000 hotels and I think more than 70 companies in order to create just basic standards. You know, what are the things that you need to do in order to be sustainable? What are the things that you need to do? And with a very basic, let's say, protocol and procedure, you are able to measure how you're doing and you get some feedback in terms of what are the things that you need to do. And I think that that type of initiatives, I think that may help a lot to other companies in the industry and in general in the economy in order to get to these targets that we want to achieve.
I know you want to say something.
Sounds like a great initiative. No, so just getting back to what you mentioned, the fragmentation. It is, one thing is a fact, we talk about the single market, I'm not sure we have one. I mean, the economy moves global. The regulators stayed national. Even though we had the EU, I would say a lot of the things that comes out, we can discuss. It's not everything we agree on, but at least it's meant to be the same in all of Europe. But it's implemented still in institutions in each member state and sometimes even in each region. You go to Germany, you have 16 GDPR agencies. You now have, in a minute, you will have an AI agency, you will have a Data Act agency, you will have a cybersecurity agency, you will have, and then you can just keep on adding on top. Then you, of course, have the sectorial, you have all the sustainability regulations coming on top. And sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to understand if you are a country that you are a very small place. I mean, Europe is made out of small countries, the countries that know they're small, and the rest who doesn't know that they're small, but they are small. Everybody's small, right? For the industry, all of them are small for us. And if we keep on adding bureaucracy and processes and reporting obligations, the industry is hiring lawyers instead of innovators. And the more lawyers we hire, the less money we have to run faster than the rest of our competitors. So I think you are seeing some of the winners here, but they are fewer and fewer. So I would say even here, digitalization could help. If we could get the member states to agree that we harmonize the processes and the compliance process, that there is a platform, you're a company, you go in, you use one template for being compliant on GDPR, and then you are compliant in all of Europe, right? So right now there is a lot of, I would see, energy wasted on reporting and on running around from agency to agency. And one thing is like bigger companies, but if you are a 50-person scale-up with the most cool energy solution that could be world-leading in the whole world, you look at Germany, France, Spain, Denmark, and you think, I'm going to US instead. Yeah. It is simply too cumbersome, and that's really a pity. I mean, there is no reason why some of these solutions would not be world-leading in health, in retail, in other things, right? And I would say we really need to be careful that we do not spend our time reporting and checking and double-checking and triple-checking per region, instead of letting companies like these companies, innovate and grow and making sure that they use their money for tech talents to make their solutions even cooler, or tech talents to reduce their CO2. So there is a fine line on when we say, well, how do we want to spend our money, right? And we also need to let these companies take the best talent and do run and conquer the world.
Yeah, I think you are right. We still have a lot of work to achieve really the single market. No, at least in many products and services is like that, as you say. Okay, I think we have finished now. I don't know if you want to add something. Otherwise, just to thank everybody. I hope it has been interesting. I'm sure it has been very interesting. And we have contributed to discuss about the future of industry in Europe. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.